Oh. I wish I was smarter and technical. Oh, how are you, Jessica? How are you?
Oh, Calethea.
Yeah.
I'm doing well.
You know,
it's nice of you to show up.
I heard there was a Halloween special going on, and I said, you know what's spooky? My ex-husband's.
They very much are.
So I thought I'd be here. Yes, and what are you drinking?
I am drinking an old-fashioned.
I am having a Jack and Coke, apparently very similar to you, but different, very different. But it's fantastic. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank
you, Phil.
All right, Jessica. Well, let's get into it. I'm pretty sure Callie will come in and out of this conversation. So
do you know what I want to? Do you want to know what I'm wearing?
Oh yes. What are you wearing, Jessica?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yes.
So I am.
It's gorgeous.
Well, first of all, Composer's Room. You guys are making me feel like I can host my own podcast in front of all these people. So I guess what I'm saying is, you're making me feel like I'm the man.
Oh, yes.
I am the man, Taylor Swift from the Eras Tour.
Yes.
If she announces Reputation Taylor's version.
I like
this
the
is what I think that she'd probably wear.
That's very specific, and I love it.
Yes.
And I'm honest. It's not far off. Yes. I believe she would win.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
Welcome to the Eras
Check edition.
And whatever I am.
And Calethea.
Listen, I feel...
Calethea who paid for my tickets because she's so rich.
Yes, I'm so rich. I actually didn't pay for tickets. I had a man pay for tickets.
Oh.
Big difference. Big difference. A big married man, too. Anyways, Jessica. You know, I have a lot of demons.
Yeah.
A lot. They follow me around. They talk to me often.
Clearly.
Yes. And, you know, I've heard you've seen some demon ghosts, too. Because in your past, you've been a ghost hunter.
I used to hunt the ghosts, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I used to hunt the ghosts.
So when you were a ghost hunter, what was your scariest story? Oh, I'm sorry, Jessica.
Okay, so listen. I am from Georgia, which means ghosts everywhere.
Yes.
Ghosts.
Quite true.
Ghosts everywhere.
Quite true.
In fact, my parents' house is on the side of a mountain where we would find Civil War, like bullets and stuff from like the Civil War, like, all in the woods. So I was a battlefield investigator because I was too scared to do it at night. Like I was a total wuss. But what's crazy is like Civil War battlefields are just as haunted during the day as they are at night.
How do you know it's haunted during the day?
Because I investigated a whole bunch of them.
No, but like, what does that mean? Like,
it means that like I saw my first ghost at noon on a Thursday at Chickamauga Battlefield, and it was a Union soldier who walked right by me.
Is it like see-through, like a movie?
It looked like an actual person, and it just disappeared.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah,
I've had that happen once when I was a kid in my backyard. I was like, "Mom, someone's in the backyard," and there was no one there.
So my ghost hunters team, we were called Ghost Atlanta. No, wait, that was before we were called Wartime Paranormal. So then we changed our name to Wartime Paranormal. We started out as Ghost Atlanta, like Ghost Hunters of the Southern Territories, Atlanta edition.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And then a certain celebrity ghost hunter from a certain TV show, not the one you guys are all thinking of. Different one. Gave me a new team name and logo and rebranded and everything, and so we became Wartime Paranormal, and we specialized in battlefields. And so we found ourselves 3 hours away in Andersonville in Americus, Georgia.
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to go back and just hang out in Americus. It's like a cute little town. But it's a definite Civil War. Whole thing is Civil War. So we went to Andersonville prison camp, and it is a Union POW camp. Like it housed prisoners of war, and it had its own like Civil War like cemetery and everything.
Oh.
So yeah, but the thing about it is, it was a straight up camp.
Oh.
So like all outdoors. Like they had these like little pieces of fabric, not any thicker than like this tablecloth, like for their tents.
Oh.
And then there was like a hospital site. Everything was outdoors, like the whole thing. So even
to
working,
make it look like
no, that's how it was.
It just was. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And so it was basically a field, like a whole open field with like a perimeter kind of thing. And they had there was like a door. So even if as like a soldier, like as a guard, you basically had the same kind of you fell to the same illnesses that you got the same rations, you got the same. It was basically like the same thing as even just being a prisoner.
So it was kind of just punishment as
so even if like it just.
Don't what do I know about that?
So when you so the entrance, it's like this big giant wooden door. And it's like an entrance into just this open field.
Odd. Okay.
Yeah. And so it was like the soldiers that entered there knew they were about to just walk into hell, right? So we walk in, and this is like all during the day. This is the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So we walk in, and we're kind of walking around a little bit in that area in the entrance, and it was me, my friend Allison, and my friend Carson, and Carson had the camera, and then Allison was like in the corner, and all of a sudden I look over and a rock flew up. It wasn't even a windy day. Like a rock flew up and hit Carson in the knee.
Ow. Was it a big rock or a little rock?
It was like,
a quarter size rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
spooky.
And we were like, we just got what? Like it's noon. Like we like we just got here.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And little did we know that the rest of the day was gonna go that way, and even crazier than that.
Okay.
So we were making our way around, like there was like a area you could like walk around like the whole camp. And we kept hearing voices. And it was not a busy day. Americus, Georgia it's far.
Yeah, it's not like a busy.
Far. Yeah. Like it's far. Okay. Yeah. It's like further than like Fort Benning. Like it is all the way down there, right?
Yeah.
So and we got there like before, like again, like I said, like the crowd. So we just kept hearing voices. And then we went and heard, like, listened on our audio recorders, and the ghost, like, whatever was there was like responding to what we were saying.
Oh, that's creepy.
And we weren't even like asking questions. We were just talking amongst ourselves.
So like, was it just like, you're like, I do this, and the ghost was like, yeah, you do that?
No, we were literally just talking about how like crazy it is that we were there, and how much history that we were surrounded by, and the death and
what was the ghost saying back?
It's been too long for me to remember, but I remember hearing something in my ear and then going, hold on, let me get my recorder and like re-listen. Like it was completely insane. And then we get down to like the where the camp actually was, and it was like literally like a stick. Like basically a tablecloth. Okay. Covering.
Interesting.
And so a lot of the prisoners were like, they would try to steal from each other, right? And so there was no lighting or anything like that. It was just darkness.
Okay.
So the prisoners that would steal from other prisoners, they were called the Raiders, which is why I think it's funny that we now have the Las Vegas Raiders, because a lot of the NFL teams are coded in history, the names and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So you have the Raiders, who were the prison gang during the Civil War.
Gotta be that way sometimes.
So
it's funny. Fitting now.
Their fan base makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
now.
fitting.
Okay.
Fitting.
All right. So so the Raiders, they were hanged. Right. And then their gravestones, there was 5 of them, are in the Civil War cemetery with the rest of the dead, but they're buried further away. Like they're buried away.
Yeah.
So and it's a completely flat area, completely flat surface. Like the road and everything just flat. Like Ohio, like it's flat. So I parked my car. I parked my car, and we set an audio recorder on top of one of the Raiders' tombstones. And Allison was like, "I'm gonna go get some bug spray." So she goes into the car, into the back seat. And like doors open, and she's like leaning in, right? And I look over, and the back door just slammed on her.
Damn.
Slammed
They're like,
on
we
her.
Don't know what this car who hunky is. Get rid of it.
And so she, I mean, we were like, we all watched this happen, and we were like,
what?
This is by this time it's like 2 PM.
Yeah,
right. Like so we're weird. Just kind of like, what is going on? Like, this is and so we had a couple of other things happen. We had the audio recorder like fly off the tombstone. And it just like all kinds of weird things happened during the day. And so we were thinking about it, and we we're like, well, how do we get back in at night? Like, do we have to like pay a guard? Like, what do we have to do?
Yeah.
So we found a National Park Service, because it's the National Park Service, and we found a dude, and we asked him. His name was Brad.
Hey, Brad, wherever you are.
Brad, oh, he's not there anymore, because I went back and asked him, where's Brad? And they're like, oh, he's not here anymore. And I'm like,
probably because he let a bunch of people in at night.
He let us in. He didn't let us in. He told us how to get back in.
Oh, yeah, that's why he lost his job.
He told us how
Thanks,
to get
Brad.
Yeah, he probably lost his job after that. Sorry. Yeah, Park Ranger Brad lost his job. Anyway, so we go back at night, and we hit all the same places that we did during the day.
Yeah.
And
is it like 10,000 times scarier at night? Just like eerie darkness.
It was, because you were kind of putting yourself back into like in time.
Yeah.
And so so we were in like the hospital site, which was like, so like when you walk in like the entrance, you have like the campsite, and then you have like there's like where the water stream was, but that for the drinking water, but obviously like that's not everybody like dysentery and all that stuff, because it was also like downriver from anyway,
being gross in the 1800s.
Yes, basically, yes. And so we like go up this hill to where like the hospital, like the designated hospital area was. And we look over at the campsite, and we see like this orange light. And we knew like during the day that like, because we thought maybe it was like a spotlight like on the camp.
Yeah.
But like there wasn't one. Like during the day, we were like, there's no way. Like there wasn't a spotlight or anything, right?
Yeah.
And it was, and we're like, well, that orange light, it's weird, because it was like, then it started like floating. So we're like, that's strange. And we're like, well, what if it's security? But security would have like a mag light, and it'd be a white light, not orange and dim.
And they would already be like, come on, guys, leave the park.
Well, they didn't, I mean, we were in like black, and so all of a sudden, this orange light floating about turned into like a lantern, and a person forming, holding the lantern, walking through the hospitals or walking through the campsite, like making his rounds.
Oh no.
And our first instinct was drop, because we were like, we are not going to jail 3 hours away from home, like just in case it was a security guard. And then I had one of those like high 8 video cameras.
Yeah.
And man, it had never let me down until that day.
Damn.
So what's insane about it was Carson got it all on film, and then we went to dinner afterwards, and we were like, okay, replay it. And the camera's done.
You know what though? That to me, that's like, no, it was using all the energy off the camera.
No, but like, we were far, like it was all the way across the camp.
Yeah,
there's no way. Like this isn't a close-up thing.
I don't know. It sounds like if I were a ghost,
it sounds like
I would be far away.
Someone didn't want anyone else to know what was going on.
That's what I mean. Like something was like, oh no, like this energy is so big that like it's gonna mess everything up.
But it seemed so residual, because like a residual haunting, which is like a tape player playing itself over and over again. So it was just like the routine of like, yeah.
That's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, like, I know Nathan and I always talk about like the residual hauntings, and he's convinced it's like a time vortex hole, like a wormhole almost like right there. And that's why it keeps on replaying, because every single time in that moment, it's the Civil War.
It's almost like frozen in time though, because like there are areas like,
you know how pissed I would be if that's kind of ghost I'm going to become?
Well, it's not, but it's
doing the same thing over and over.
It's not like their spirit isn't there. It's
almost
just,
like a picture in time.
Yes, that's what it is. And places with like significant trauma, like battlefields, like Chickamauga battlefield. The first time I ever investigated it, I fell into a time slip, which basically I was with some friends, and we were just we had never been, so we were like we were kind of ghost hunting, but we were also like ooh ah kind of thing. And all of a sudden, like I blinked, and the everyone was gone, but I could like the grass, like it felt like mushy. Weird. And then I started to smell gunpowder, and then I started to see things. Like I was like there was like a battle happening around me.
You were like, what?
And and just like bodies, and it was a whole I'll never forget it. And then it, as quickly as it came about, it disappeared. Like I blinked and I was like back, and I was like, did anybody else see that? And they're like, see what? I'm like,
see, I would have just claimed I was psychic and opened up shop right there. Like, well, I'm psychic, guys, so come here, come on. Let me talk to your dead relatives.
But what was crazy is like the first soldier to ever die the first soldier killed at Andersonville. His name was Caleb Copeland, and he was somebody was trying to steal, like somebody was trying to take a piece of fabric from his tent, and he was defending himself or whatnot, and he was shot. Caleb Copeland was also a prisoner of war who was captured at the Battle of Chickamauga. So we kind of like were following his story.
Well, I say that was him on the battlefield. I like to think that
Kennesaw Mountain is the same way. It's all people who live on the bottom of Kennesaw Mountain see things all the time.
Well, I know, like, so my grandpa had land in Arkansas, and obviously there's a lot of Civil War there too. And he said very much the same thing. He's like, I don't believe in ghosts, but this place is haunted. I was like, what? Those two things don't make sense though. You don't believe in ghosts, but it's haunted? Okay, whatever.
I always say that if I had been hunting ghosts in high school, I'd have better grades in history class.
Yeah, because you learn,
like, probably be a history professor at LSU.
I mean, listen, but then we wouldn't have this.
So then we wouldn't have this. All of this.
All of this.
All of this.
Oh man, no, that's spooky though. I mean, honestly, like I remember, we'll get into it because it's actually on the list. But I could not imagine. That sounds really scary. Did you pee yourself?
No.
Oh, I would have.
No, but we immediately like we dropped like, oh shit, like dropped like thinking it was security, like
just laying on the ground.
That's literally what we did. We're like Mission Impossible.
Oh my God. How long did that apparition appear? Was it like as quick as you as soon as it formed into a person, you're like duck, and then it disappeared?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know. I just could not. I don't know.
I'll never forget it. It made me like being a paranormal investigator in Georgia and the whole wartime paranormal thing. Our initial our slogan was live by the sword, die by the sword, haunt by the sword.
Oh, that's funny.
But then we walked into Andersonville and it said on the plaque, it said to live in the hearts we leave behind is not to die. Fun fact, it's tattooed on my back.
Oh.
I learned so much. I fell in love with history all over again.
Yeah.
And I became like this like Civil War like expert.
Well, I think also it's one of those things too, like when you travel, you're like, no, this is interesting because I'm like actually seeing it with my eyeballs. You know, so
that's why like when I moved out here,
there is no history.
It's irrelevant to me. Like, there are cool little stories here and there, and we'll get into those.
Yeah.
But when you're living history through their eyes, like literally, you're living history through the eyes of the people who lived it 150 years ago.
Well, and that's another thing too.
That's a really heavy feeling.
Yeah. Well, and also there's a level too of like Vegas doesn't preserve anything, so there's not like, you know, because Nevada was around in 1907. Technically, Las Vegas was around in 1907, but like, the post office, LVA, those are like the only two buildings, which we'll get into both of those.
All right, so haunted Vegas.
Oh, darling. Okay,
speaking of Bugsy Siegel and his dead hookers,
right? So,
and where that moaning is coming from, and where they're buried.
So I found this website with the top 19 places, but we're not going through all 19. We're just going through my favorite ones. And I think like the most relevant ones. And ones I've heard through my whole entire life and like can like vouch for the rumors. Some of them you can too. But the first one is Westgate, Las Vegas. So that used to be the Hilton. Elvis used to stay there a lot. They have an Elvis room. And he is to be said, he had 837 shows at Westgate, okay? So the man loved Westgate. He,
We're shooting shit to post on it.
So there it's said that Elvis is haunting the room, his room. People say they also find him at the theater where Barry Manilow plays. Oh. And the website said, what a duo. And I said, that's my worst fucking nightmare. Mm-hmm. Happy Halloween. Spooky. Jump scare.
Well, we can't talk about Vegas haunting without the iconic flamingo.
Yes, that is true. Well, as everyone knows, Bugsy... Well, okay. Here's what's funny about that. The website claims that Bugsy Siegel is haunting it, but Bugsy Siegel didn't even die in that hotel. He died in Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. Now, he built the hotel, but you know what makes sense? The hookers.
Marilyn Monroe was with him, right? He was...
I know.
Wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah, he knew Marilyn Monroe.
I know he probably knew Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, but like he had a lot of.
Or it was the Black Dahlia. I can't remember.
He had a lot of. Well, first of all, he came to Vegas to get divorced because Nevada was a quick divorce state, and that's really why everyone came to town, and that's why the strip happened. But yeah, so he came, he stole $2 million from the mob, and then the mob did their job. You'll see that a lot of these places are very mob influenced, though. So how can we say it's Bugsy Siegel when you know a lot of things happened behind closed doors? So yeah, we have the Flamingo Hotel, the Mob Museum. Now, they say it's because they have some, like, mob torture devices in there. I think it's just the courtroom. It's the first ever, it's the first courtroom and post office in Las Vegas. So it's old to begin with. It gives just, like, I don't know, old. So I don't know if it's haunted, though. I don't think it's haunted. I don't get that energy there. But it's hard to get energy, like, I don't know. The energy at the Mob Museum is fun. You've been in the speakeasy down in the basement.
I love have you not been yet?
No, I always have Vegas Baby with me.
We're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to have to, like, just make a plan and do that because the underground at the Mob Museum is amazing.
Yeah, it was on Vegas Madness.
I love it so much. Yeah, love it.
But yeah, so we'll see about that one. Then the Luxor Hotel. Now, a lot of people have died at the Luxor from, like, different things
They keep jumping.
Yeah, they keep jumping off the balconies, but also, like, bacteria's killed a lot of people, and also during construction, a lot of people died. Mm-hmm. It was just a mess. So they say that people are walking through the hallways.
I will say the Titanic exhibit. I will say something about the Titanic exhibit. The first time I ever went was when its very first stop in Atlanta in the Georgia Aquarium. Now they had, like, the ghost hunters come and investigate it, and I was like, that's cheesy. Because they wanted the Georgia Aquarium wanted the PR.
I was going to say
they wanted but here's the thing: the very first time It was brought to America. It was in Atlanta, and it was at the Georgia Aquarium, and I went. And let me tell you, the level of like feeling of dread and sadness. It was so quiet in there.
Yeah.
Like it was so crazy because you're walking through and nobody could talk. It was the energy, the air just was so heavy that nobody, it literally like, it was, you're walking through a memorial.
Yeah.
You're literally walking through a full-on memorial. Like people, these belong to people.
Yeah.
And the people that, and then, you know, at the very end, they give you a boarding pass when you first walk in.
Oh, that's cute.
If you're not, have you gone?
I went when I was very little when they first opened.
Okay, so they give you a boarding pass. And with an actual person that was on the Titanic.
Okay.
Okay. And and then at the end you find out, like, they have like a list of like survivors and the list of the casualties, right? I was Lady Duff Gordon.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you know what's funny is if you go back and you watch the Titanic movie, a lot of these characters they mention.
Really? That's so cool. You're like that's me.
Yes. So I was Lady Duff Gordon, and Lady Duff Gordon is the pioneer of lingerie.
So fitting.
Yes.
Listen.
She was the pioneer of lingerie. And then I went back and watched the movie The Titanic, and the unsinkable Molly Brown, she was like, oh, look at, like Lady Duff Gordon just walks in. Like, she doesn't have any lines. It's like she just walks in. They're like, oh, look at that tramp. Like,
yes.
Like, what does she think she's doing, making sexy clothes? Like, what does she think she's doing? And they're just like mean girling her as she walks by. And I was like, that was my person. That's who I was. Yeah.
Darling, we were very good friends. I will say, did she die?
She died.
Oh, what tragic news. I just loved everything that she created and her money that came along with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you know John Jacob Astor?
Probably. I don't remember much men names.
I figure you were taking money from all the influential men that got on that boat.
Listen, we talked about this on Casey a long time ago, but I'll bring it up. I don't know if you remember, but remember I switched the Titanics.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and I switched them. And then I made sure everybody that I needed stuff from had a ticket. So, you know, it was a little prepared. It just worked out. Actually, that wasn't the way I was going to have them go. It just kind of worked out that way.
Happy accident.
Yes. Anyways.
The horseshoe.
So the old Bally's.
The old Bally's.
Which used to be MGM.
Yes. Okay. As somebody who worked there.
Yes.
I swear to God, our locker room, a lot of people were jealous of our locker room because we had couches.
Oh yeah.
And we had like a table and a couch, and like we had several, like we took naps in there a lot.
Yeah.
Especially on Graveyard. And I swear to God, I would walk in on break on Graveyard, and I would see like a person like in the corner of my eye. And it seemed like a security guard.
Maybe a security guard that we know.
But it was weird because I was like, what is this person doing in my, nobody's there, like all the time.
Yeah, I remember you said that. You're like, it always feels like someone's like kind of watching me.
I always felt like someone was watching me.
And you're like, I'm just sleeping on the couch. Or you'd wake up and be like, someone woke me up and like something did.
So Bally's before, like you said, it was MGM. There was a fire. It started in like a cafe.
Like historic fire that they still talk about now in 1980s. Yeah.
Yes. And I think, what was it, like the fire ended up going up like 15 floors or something. And, and it destroyed a lot of the casino. And like the people died from like smoke inhalation, but like the toxic, like the chemicals that were on the poker chips, like when they caught on fire too, like so people were like poisoned. They also had people just die at the machines because people would rather try and win than run for their lives.
Well, there's also something that's so funny about casinos because like randomly no one cares. Like their gives a fucks are gone. But then MGM Bally's Horseshoe, now Horseshoe, that's like a known thing in Vegas, and people go up to those top floors, and like even
there's not a 13th floor.
Yeah, and like even Nathan is like when he was up there doing a bunch of MGM stuff, and like because sometimes he'd have to go there, it would be like he's like, no, it's creepy up there. It's like spooky up there, and so the next one made me laugh because it doesn't make any sense. And let me tell you why it doesn't make any sense. It says the Venetian Hotel because Tupac got shot there, but it's closer to
Stage Shore.
Yeah, well, it's on Koval
and Flamingo behind Stage Shore, right?
Yeah, is it? Yeah, Koval and Koval and Flamingo, which it would be closer to Link. It would be closer to fucking like Bally's. It's closer to everywhere else than Venetian.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the Venetian would be haunted, but I agree with you. There's some zombies on Koval.
All the time.
There's a lot of zombies down there. Yeah, so the next one is Circus, and that one's just listen, that place is so creepy. There's so like, people like couldn't be here and help me. I think there was the guy who owned it like opened it up and then died within 3 months. Like he also gave us Caesars, thanks. But yeah, I mean, there's like a sounds of women. Apparently room 123 is really haunted. And yeah, I don't know. Circus also has a lot of zombies.
Oh, of course it does.
I think that's from Twinker McGee. And then last but not least, my favorite place, Las Vegas Academy. And I do have a story about it. I actually have a couple stories. So there is a rumor going around. There was always a rumor going around that there was a kid who had passed away. He was a piano major, oddly enough. He was a piano major. He passed away, and he liked to haunt the theater, the old theater. And now I heard some really creepy things, even from Douglas, who's like not a believer in any of this. And especially at the time, I was so obsessed with like haunted stuff. Like when I went to LVA, that was my prime. You know what I mean? Like that was my prime of like learning about ghost hunting and all this other stuff. And so there was that rumor. I do believe that old theater is haunted. Once again, lots of zombies around there. So there's that. But there was also this one time in the gym. So the building was 76 years old my freshman year, and I graduated in 2010. So in 2007, it was 76. Yeah, so now it's about 100 years old. And the place is just old. I don't know how to explain it. You know when something is just so old, people assume it's haunted. Like, yeah. So, one time I was in the gym, and we were pretending to talk to ghosts because it was like, it would be funny if a ghost showed up right now in gym class. And then this door just smacks open right in front of us. And we were like, ah! Yeah. And we just went running off. And our PE teacher was like, that was probably the air conditioner. It might have been. I don't know. But it was just weird that we were like, ghosts should come here right now. They're so stupid. Ghosts aren't real. And then it smacked us in the face.
We're in the moment.
Yeah, so those are our Las Vegas haunted stories.
Spooky season. All right. Football update. My favorite part. Oh man. Football. Okay. This past weekend. Okay, so LSU had their homecoming last weekend. Right? And they beat Ole Miss. This weekend was another rivalry game. And it was LSU Arkansas. It was Arkansas's homecoming. Now there's even like it's such a rivalry game that they actually have a trophy. It's a boot, and it's the LSU, the state of LSU with Arkansas on top, and the state of Arkansas on top, and it's a boot. And so, like if Arkansas had won, the boot would stay in Arkansas. If LSU won, the boot would go back to Louisiana.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So every year, last year LSU beat Arkansas. So and so they had the boot last year. This year LSU won 34-10. So the boot stays in Baton Rouge. Yeah. Another year. Tennessee beat Alabama and tore down their goalpost.
I wonder if
it now joins the other two.
I was about to say the one of the owners or like one of the like they have an in with a goalpost guy. That's what I'm trying to say. The amount of money they're spending on goalposts.
It's crazy, but yeah, so the Alabama fans are trying to petition to make it so that tearing down goalposts is banned from college football. And I'm like, what? It's not even yours. Like,
yeah, right.
Like, it's not even yours.
I can understand like the
if they tore down Alabama's goalpost and like destroyed it or whatever, but they tore down their own goalpost and threw that shit back in the river. What does that have to do with you? You know. But the controversy now is like beating Alabama isn't that cool anymore because they lost to Vanderbilt and they are ranked lower than the Indiana Hoosiers. And that is the craziest realization ever.
Listen, they got a point.
They are ranked, Alabama is now ranked 15th. They are not even in the top 10 anymore.
No roll tide.
LSU jumped back into the top 10. They are ranked number 8 now. But yeah, what a crazy, crazy weekend. And then Georgia humbled the shit out of Texas. So Texas was not even in the SEC, in the Southeast Conference. They were in a separate, what conference was Texas in? Brett, what conference was Texas in? It wasn't Big Ten.
Big 9.
No, it was like, because there's Big Ten, Pac-10, and then they had like a separate.
Big East?
I don't know. Well, Texas was in their own
Big East
conference.
maybe.
Yeah, Big East, I guess. I don't know. ACC, were they in the ACC?
Oh, yeah.
They were in the ACC. Okay, so they were ranked number 1 in their conference, and so they came back. They decided to come into the SEC because there's more money in the SEC. Like, let's face it. Like, people care more about Southern football than anything else.
Yeah.
Unless you're an Oregon fan.
I'm surprised Texas wasn't already in the whatever.
SEC. Yeah. No, I no idea.
Yeah.
And so their schedule up until Georgia was like pretty chill. And so they were ranked number 1, and
It was Big 12.
Big 12. Thank you.
Big 12.
So they get into the SEC and they're like making their way, still ranked number 1, undefeated. And then they get to Georgia. And the entire first half, like, Tennessee had like 0 points. Not Tennessee, Texas had 0 points. And everyone's like losing their mind because we're like, this is Texas. Like
come on.
Matthew McConaughey's on the sideline going, oh my, oh my, oh my. Like,
not in a good way.
Not in a good way. And it was one of those things where Texas was humbled because they thought, they're so entitled. And even and to go along with that, there was a play that they didn't agree with. And so this took place, Texas was at home in Austin. And there was a play that got called and they didn't agree with it. So Texas fans started throwing garbage on the field mid-game. Like full on.
They were mad.
Full on throwing trash on the field. So the coach for Texas was coming out and like trying to like, kids, quiet down, because the whole student section just throwing their trash. It was insane. And so the refs all got together and reversed the call. Yeah.
Listen, if I knew I can bully my way through.
Well,
was it a bad call? Like, they should have reversed it?
I don't think so. I mean, I can't remember what the play was, but I remember it was not that serious.
I was about to say, was it even that serious to begin with?
Like, okay, pass what it always is pass interference shit and pass interference and roughing the passer and all that kind of Aaron Rodgers crybaby bullshit. And anyway, so that was totally crazy. But so Texas is used to bullying their way into things, and they went up against a team that was full of bullies and got their ass kicked. So they cleaned their clocks. So that was kind of fun. Deshaun Watson. Okay, moving into the NFL.
I gotta say how funny it is that I mentioned the lawyer that sued him. I mean, it didn't go anywhere, but like the lawyer that sued him is the same time all this information about him is coming out, like how everyone hates him, and it's just funny that it correlated this way because I learned about him on a completely different topic.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny, I saw this TikTok today and I sent it to you. They were talking about how people pay all this money and expect a certain, expect things. And a lot like Deshaun Watson, does these things to people and pays them off and expects things. Like he just, and I was like, oh shit. With Deshaun Watson, they traded Baker Mayfield, who is now on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
They lost yesterday, but he did really well.
Yeah.
Like he did really well. But when Baker Mayfield got traded, the Browns fans were so pissed. They were so mad.
Why'd you do that?
They were like, wait a minute. You traded you gave Baker Mayfield to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers so we could have a rapist as our quarterback.
I mean, honestly,
like
yeah,
literally,
yeah.
Like nobody. So then Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles tendon.
Womp womp, karma.
He literally, and it was again, and it's just like it's right here. So they snapped the ball. He got it, and he snapped it and he fell. That was season ending.
Good,
but. The crowd. Well, first of all, Deshaun Watson, they have their intros when all the players are running in and they introduce all the players while they're coming out. Deshaun Watson's the first one out because he's the quarterback, and the entire stadium booed. The entire stadium.
Now, does everyone hate him because of the allegations?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so...
and he's also arrogant, though.
Yeah, he's
like
an asshole.
Extremely arrogant.
Totally. He's an asshole. So then, once he gets hurt, the entire crowd starts cheering because they know Jameis Winston it's his time and that's who they wanted.
I did see that. I was like, oh, that must hurt your feelings.
Like
that must hurt your feelings.
Yeah. So then after the game in the press conference, their coach was like so disappointed in the fans.
Yeah.
And then Jameis Winston was like, I'm from Alabama and I was not raised that way.
He was giving a pastor speech about it.
Has overcome so much. And
I don't want to hear it.
And we're like, overcome what? Overcome allegations by paying off his victims? Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
What all they could have, of course they're going to defend him, but they said too much. The only thing they could have, injuries suck. Hopefully he's back next year, or something just something
well, the one Cajun guy or the one guy from, was it Louisiana, that it was I don't know, it was just a pastor's speech about
that was Jameis Winston.
Yeah,
he was from Alabama.
Alabama.
He played for Florida State.
But the way he was passionate about how dare you? It's where was this energy when from his behavior?
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you guys gave the same. I can understand being listen, he's a piece, POS, but blah 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 blah. I can understand that, but where's the energy for the victims? Oh, there are none. Okay, stop it. I have no respect for you. You don't get to go on the holier than thou soapbox.
Right.
When the man is a graper.
It was cringe. It was absolutely cringe.
Yeah,
they could have just said, something generic
kindness always wins.
It's unfortunate he's injured.
Yeah.
But then they're paying him a lot of money.
Is he even good? Embarrassing.
And then, and then Devontae Adams from the Raiders. What a great story. So
this is pretty funny.
So Devontae Adams played for the Raiders. He played against the Steelers. And that Raiders-Steelers game turned into a Steelers home game.
Oh.
It was nothing but terrible towels at Allegiant. It was literally nothing but people with terrible towels at Allegiant. Steve Byrne was there.
Oh.
One of our comedians.
Yeah.
Steve Byrne and Wyatt and the whole cast of the Steve Byrne show that we have.
Yeah.
All there. And he's a diehard Steeler fan. So it was just it was so funny to watch. So Devontae Adams played for the Raiders against the Steelers, lost, got traded to the Jets to play with Aaron Rodgers, played against the Steelers, lost.
Damn.
So
you're a loser, buddy.
He went from a 2-5 team to a 2-5 team, but with friends.
Does he have right? I mean, honestly, could you imagine being am I the problem? Am I at that point? Am I the problem?
It was so good. So this is what I mean about the drama and the soap opera of it all of football. It's freaking hilarious. The kicker for the Detroit Lions, he was actually a soccer player in college who never kicked a field goal.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did he get this big boy job?
He practiced. He hoped for a spot, and he kicked a field goal and got it. He literally. The story is. I think I sent it to you. The story is that he, like 18 months ago, was like a brick salesman.
A brick salesman.
Jake Bates thought the dream was dead, but it's alive and well in Detroit. The rookie kicker, who was originally a soccer player at Central Arkansas and never actually attempted a field goal in college, nailed the biggest one of his life on Sunday to lift the Lions over the Vikings in a battle for first place in the NFC North.
You know what's great? It's like when things like that happen, especially to like, I'm assuming a decent person, better than, Deshaun Watson.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's fun. You were a brick salesman and look at you. You did it. You did it. Like, that's such an amazing glow up.
Yeah.
And like, that's what the fans want to praise.
Yeah. And the Lions, man, they were one game away from the Super Bowl. They lost to the 49ers last year, and that's how the 49ers got to the Super Bowl. So I'm hoping for a Lions-Chiefs Super Bowl this year.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see, but yeah, we'll just stay tuned. But a lot of really cool things happened over the weekend,
and we'll give you updates. You know what I mean? All right. So sad news.
Speaking of crazy things happening over the weekend.
So this was crazy. Now you have to remember when One Direction came out, I was too old for it. I'm assuming you were too old for it too. Like you weren't.
Yeah, because I'd already lived through Insane.
That's what I mean. Like we kind of already experienced.
We're still living through O-Town.
Yeah, exactly. Like. We kind of experienced a lot of it, and by the time I was already listening to like My Chemical Romance, I was already listening to like a bunch. But I will say there was One Direction song that I listened to while I was in the gay rage doing lots of ecstasy.
Baby, you light up my world like
that was it. That was it. We'd sit there just like big-eyed pupils. This is the best song ever, guys. I mean, truly. So, but my sister-in-law was a huge One Direction fan.
You don't know you're beautiful.
But my sister-in-law is a huge One Direction fan, and like also a huge Harry Styles fan, and all this other stuff. So when I saw that Liam Payne died, I was like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck is going on?"
That was insane.
I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like at first, I didn't know if it was real, but then enough people had like put it out to be like, "Oh my gosh, it was real." So he was in Argentina and he fell off a balcony, third story balcony.
I was wondering what hotel he was at because I was thinking about where Crystal and Andrew stayed.
I don't know.
I saw I saw the pictures from their balcony,
and you're like, that looks oddly familiar. I don't know. I've never been to Argentina. I don't know much about it.
Either. I just. Yes. Vicariously through that.
Yeah. But leading up to his death, he was showing odd behavior, which by the way, I don't know. I don't want to say what I want to say.
He seemed fine all week because his girlfriend was posting. Because crazy thing, before I even sent you that first video, before I even hit a like button on anything having to do with Liam on TikTok, I was seeing videos of Liam and his girlfriend doing silly, fun little TikToks the entire time they were in Argentina, and I was like, this seems illegal to see right now. Like it was
it feels very weird to watch.
Weird and morbid, and we're all like, but if you read all the comments, it's happening to everyone because everyone was like, why is this the first? How did I not know that Liam Payne was even on TikTok? Like, why is this happening right now?
I think it's because it's that's how the algorithm works. Like, a bunch of people look it up. I mean, I looked it up on Google, right? Like, to see if he was actually passed. And, people are liking it, and it's, a big jump. But he
seemed fine and goofy all week. And then when she left, though, that's when things got weird.
No, there was whole crackhead behavior that whole time. I'm sorry, you're supposed to go to Argentina for 5 days and then you stay an extra 7 and then you don't call.
He couldn't get back into the U.S.
He couldn't get back into the U.S.? Why?
Drugs.
He
was having a hard time getting, his travel visa was
then he needs to go back home to his place.
Yeah.
Which, this is where, listen, you run out of clothes, but you're staying in a 5-star hotel that doesn't do laundry for you? Like, what? Like, there was a lot of crackhead behavior, in my opinion, going on, and I mean that lightly. So, like hours before his death, right before his death, he was showing really wild behavior, and like the hotel had to call the emergency services like 3 or 4 different times because they kept on saying there was a man overwhelmed from drugs and alcohol, and that he was like at risk of dying, and he was having like a seizure. He had a seizure in the lobby, and like all this other stuff happened. Then toxicology has come out, and they were talking about how he tested positive for this stuff called pink cocaine. And pink cocaine is pretty much ecstasy wrapped with some acid.
Wow.
I mean, it makes you, the closest thing I can think of it is like something that's legal in this state, which is salvia, which is like a 15-minute hallucinogen. But some of the side effects are heightened senses, hallucinogens, euphoria, nausea, vomiting, agitation, rapid heart rate, high blood pressure, respiratory distress, and then also seizures is one of the symptoms of these drugs. And so even they think that the way he fell, it doesn't look like he was trying to like they think he was already unconscious before he fell.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought he like jumped. Like I thought
no.
I was thinking he thought he could fly and just jump.
No, the way, okay, I actually do have it's not my personal story. You can look it up on YouTube, but there is a video of this guy on YouTube, and he smokes salvia and he jumps out a window. Luckily, the window was like on the first story, but the guy jumped just right out the window. But they were thinking the way he fell, because it didn't look like he was trying to protect himself. Like it wasn't like, I'm going to jump to my feet, or I'm going to jump, oh no, I fell over. It was like just limp body. Just was already falling to begin with. So they think he was unconscious before he even fell.
So do you think he was pushed?
No, he was by himself. He had a seizure in the lobby, and he was unwell and at risk of his behavior. And
so
emergency
he was like on his balcony and had a seizure on the balcony?
Yeah. And I think what happened was emergency services were already on their way because they had 3 or 4
Didn't he have like other people in the hotel room?
No, he was all by himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got all my news from CNN. So... But honestly, I trust it more than TikTok.
I trust TikTok more than I trust CNN.
That's the problem, because like all these photos came out of his hotel room supposedly, and there's foil and there's like powder everywhere, and I'm like, this would be really damaging, because this guy claimed to be, I mean, he wasn't clean off of all of his stuff, but he was in remission. He was kind of the bad boy to begin with. He was the first one to have a kid. He was like, I don't know.
He was the only member of One Direction that was struggling.
Because
like Zayn is doing really well.
Yeah,
Niall Horan is doing really well. Harry Styles is like the male version of Taylor Swift at this point. Like he's huge.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Zayn recently got a domestic with Yolanda Hadid. So yeah, there's that. But I would say Zayn and Liam were probably the 2 biggest bad boys, I guess you can say. But I also like, it's so weird to me because it's like, we haven't lost our boy bands. No. Like we haven't lost, well, LFO, I guess, but that's not my boy band.
They died of cancer.
Yeah.
They didn't die of drugs.
No, but I'm saying we haven't lost anyone yet. We haven't lost anyone in NSYNC.
We haven't lost anyone.
Or like anywhere.
God.
Yeah, seriously. Like,
thank God our dudes are like responsible, and I mean
they're just old now and they can't do all the drugs.
Some of them party a little harder than the others, but he's still awesome. Just kidding. No, everyone parties responsibly. Like
I think they're just
I've never seen any of them like.
Well, and there's such a big difference between like 70s, 90s drugs compared to now drugs, because like Keith Richards.
Yeah, he's still
alive. Great example. Ozzy Osbourne. Great examples of like the drugs were different back then. But yeah, so I mean that's really sad. Like I said, I couldn't imagine. I think it would. I could not imagine being these young kids that grew up with him, and like I would feel a hole if Justin died. I would feel a hole if JC died. Like
if I ever lost Lance, I don't think I'd recover.
Like it would be a heartache. Like I would be like, damn, this sucks. I'm sad.
Or any of the guys from O-Town,
it'd be like,
especially
what?
You know who, but like I would never recover from that.
Well, it's
and
just
I don't
crazy.
know how his girlfriend. the guilt I would feel because she was like, okay,
I gotta go.
I have to go back home. Like I planned a 5-day vacation. I have to go back to work. I have to go back to my life. Like
also, how many times have they been doing this? Because it sounds like if she was willing to go back home, be like, okay, babe, I'm done. It just tells me that she's been doing the, okay, babe, I'm done. I need to go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she's like, oh, I don't like being there for more than 5 days.
Let's just stay a few more days. And it's like, okay, I'll stay one more day. And then it's like, okay, now we're on 2 weeks. And it's time to go. I gotta go home.
Yeah.
But then like, so she goes home and like 2 days later he's gone.
And I feel like, I mean, I would feel so much guilt. It's not this girl's fault. It's not the baby mama's fault. It's nobody's fault. Unfortunately, he was in a lot of stress.
From his label right before that.
I mean, honestly, there was a lot, and like even his baby mama was kind of going after him, and she did an interview before his death just recently too, like a month or two ago, and she said if anything happened to him, the fans are going to blame me, and because she's putting him through child support, like court.
Okay. Well, that's normal.
But that's exactly what they're doing. So, you know, they're like, oh, if she was nice to him. But like also, if I had a drug addict parent for my son, yeah, they're not going to see each other a lot. Sorry. Yeah. Like I got to be a mother. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I mean, it's really sad. It's kind of like, for me, it put a lot in perspective. And then I was really grateful for all of my boy bands.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. Because I feel bad for all the fans.
Because it really, you brought that up when it happened, and you're like, I can't imagine what would happen if we lost. And I was like, yeah, I lost Lance or any of my, like literally, actually, really any of
honestly,
my guys.
Kevin from Backstreet Boys, I'd be sad.
Any of the, if we lost anyone, New Kids on the Block.
Even at 80 years old, I would be sad.
98 Degrees, we haven't lost anyone. Yeah. Like, we've not lost anybody in any of our boy bands. I mean, again, LFO, we did lose 2, but they died of leukemia, and
it wasn't tragic
and tumors.
Either.
Like they had, it was tragic, and it was, and it was like,
but it wasn't like
it wasn't
so
like
sudden
this.
either. Yeah, I think the suddenness is what's so sad. I mean, he's got a 7-year-old son.
Yeah,
and you know, like his mom was saying, it was like, oh, his son can read all this, guys.
Yeah. And
there is a level of, well, your son was always going to read all this.
I think there needs to be something because
well, it would have to be an international law, and those are so crazy. Yeah,
because one thing is too, like Vanessa Bryant learned Kobe Bryant died when the rest of us learned that Kobe Bryant
TMZ posted a picture of him, and his hand was exposed on the concrete. Inappropriate, TMZ.
Yeah, they took it down. They eventually took it down, but that's how.
Why was it up there to begin with?
That's how his girlfriend found it. Like everyone found out at the same time from TMZ.
That's so awful.
And so like, there's got to be some way to protect things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sad, but you know, it's you know, it is what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, we hearts and prayers to the family.
Thoughts and prayers
that you go into with something. All right, what do we got to shout out? We kind of got
tonight is Sarah Hester Ross at Notre Dame. So excited! So I will not be doing a TikTok live.
Yeah.
No idea what I'm gonna wear. It might actually be this. What else did we do? I went to Johnny Cash. I went to Cash After Dark at Alexis Park.
Yeah.
On Wednesday night, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the show. Everyone around me seemed to be dead because the whole audience was like 80, and I was like, "What's going on?" Apparently, like that's not a normal thing. Like usually, everybody's like, "I'm."
Every time we go to an Alexis Park show, it always ends up that way. Even when I went, it was like,
when we're not there, cool shit happens.
Yeah, and then as soon as we get there, where's the bad juju?
He's singing "Walk the Line" and "Ring of Fire," and I'm like, Steve put me in the front, in the second row, dead center, like just so he could see. And I was like, I love you. But it was Cliff Wright as Johnny Cash.
Nice.
And he did really. It was awesome. It was incredible. It was a lot of fun. I was dancing and like singing along, and it was a really good show. So I definitely recommend it.
Nice.
It's the 9:30 show.
Okay.
It's 9 o'clock. Sorry, it's 9 o'clock at Alexis Park. I think Sunday to, I don't know what, I know Steve has to work Sunday through Thursday in that show, so I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, you're like Sunday through Thursday for sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. A Friday, Saturday off.
Yeah.
But then why would you? Anyways, okay, we'll figure it out one day.
It's not my schedule.
Nope, we'll figure it out one day.
It wouldn't surprise me if that show was 7 days a week.
Yeah,
It's
no, I was about
probably
to
7
say.
days a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he did all of like the Johnny Cash, he was Johnny Cash.
That's so cool.
He
I
would
love
tell
it.
stories as if he were Johnny Cash.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I'll have to go see it.
It was
Wait.
it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. So thank you, Steve Bonacci, for the ticket.
Yeah.
I walked in there and to get my ticket or to check in, and I know the box office dude. I try to say something to him oh hey man, and he didn't say anything, and I was like, oh okay, whatever. But this lady who I'd never met, I walk in and I'm like, hi, and she goes, Jessica, you're here for your ticket, and I'm like, how am I as famous as Steve tells me that I am? What's happening?
That's funny.
He's like, because I told them you were coming. I'm like, but how did they know it was me?
Yeah, that's so funny.
I was like, hi, I'm here for, and they're like, you're Jessica, you're here for Johnny Cash, and I'm like, okay.
Well, look at me.
VIP. This is how I know I've made it.
Right.
Also, I forgot to mention the I've made it moment. One of the other ones, and I saw Johnny Katz last night, and this reminded me of that time that he wrote that article about me in the Las Vegas Review Journal. So that is also my claim to fame in this town. So
showing off your tattoos.
Yeah. And we were talking about Crystal's bedroom. It was a whole thing. So yeah. Anything else that we've got going on?
I have my TikTok lives Wednesday and Thursday. I'm still figuring out times because child,
right?
But yes, darling, I am being made. It's a fantastic time. We just do everything, and it's so good. But yes, darling, that was our Halloween episode. Oh, so fantastic! We went through so much and all the spookies, and none of my stuff came up, which was quite nice. It's nice to know that I still have secrets.
Yeah.
Being
gotta keep a little bit.
Being out.
Keep the mystery alive.
I was worried when I came out originally on KCOR and now here. I was worried. I said, everyone's gonna recognize me. But honestly, I'm so stealthy. I'm so good.
You were gonna be identified and end up in jail.
Well, when Diddy stuff came out, I said, the Illuminati's coming down, and I'm worried about that. But I've never needed them before. Why do I need them now? But anyways, that's it.
Right. Well, thank you once again, Composer Room.
Yes.
And we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.